something that comes to me, that has come to me really clear since I went on my journey, is that there is no synchronicity. Synchronicity is always happening. We're just not aware. Synchronistic events are always going on in our lives, but we're not aware because we don't want to be aware, or we become numb. So I'm going to take it back just a little bit. I want to reset the stage from where I'm coming from, because I'm going to talk about the morning after. What does it mean, the morning after a journey like the one that I went on? Or what does it mean to be the morning after on any journey you've ever been on? If you think about it, I've been on many types of spiritual retreats. I've been to many type of programs. And every time I am, there's always a letdown day, a letdown 2 days afterwards, where the energy just comes down. You know what I'm talking about. I see a lot of heads going up and down. So I've come to understand is what that means is that there's been a shift in awareness. But what do we do when there's a shift in awareness? That's the question. So I'm going to set the stage. So there I am. I'm in the jungles of Peru. I've had a 32-hour trip getting to the place. I come there. I'm in nature beyond anything. There is no electronics, no conveniences, no running water, no toilets. There is nothing. And you're going to experience the next 10 days where you eat foods of boiled potatoes, boiled rice, boiled lentils, boiled cabbage, some cucumber slices. That's it, no salt. You find yourself totally weak without strength, so you're physically there. You find that the first opening ceremony is a ceremony where you've purged through drinking a tobacco juice, where you've literally thrown up everything from the upper part of your intestine out. You can't imagine there's anything in you, except you realize that the bucket in which you've puked into is only half full. Why that's upsetting is the fact is you drank as much liquid as the bucket. You're hearing that. So what you find is that now the purification continues. This is a mind-body purification. So the rest of the evening you find that all you're doing is peeing because you're purifying. I'm grateful not to be a woman because I could just lean out the ledge of my tent. Where instead of if I was a woman, it would be very difficult, Well, anyway, we won't go there. Well, I guess we did. And then when you start the next day, when you have your ayahuasca journey, when the mother plant takes over, you find out that whatever else was in you comes out in other ways. And so then when you're doing your journey, your mind is being opened to something even beyond that you've imagined. Because what it's doing is this plant is taking what's in the subconscious mind, it's bringing it out with so much force, so much energy. It's bringing out with colors, with feelings. Everything is just expanded beyond anything you've imagined. And then while that's going on, you've got the noise of the shaman chanting. You've got the smell of the cigarettes, the smell of the aroma. You've got all of these distractions bombarding you. And then the only thing you seek in that moment is a moment of peace, a moment of silence. And isn't it funny that when Maslow put together the hierarchy of needs, he talked about that the number one thing that people seek more than anything in the world is inner peace. So I didn't have to go into the jungle. I didn't have to do this trip. We're surrounded by all of this noise, all of these smells, all of this congestion, all of this illusion every day of our lives. The TV, the news media, the politicians, the churches, your families, your school systems, everything is bombarding us with noise. And we're saying, how do I deal with this? Because it's not feeling relevant within us. It's not our inner calling. And what do we seek most? Inner peace. But how many times to find inner peace do we just sit in the silence and just breathe? Or rather, do we seek another distraction? So Monday morning, as I was in deep meditation, meditations are different now. I can't explain why, but they're different. This idea of awareness matters surfaced. And it just started to fill me. And so I made that something I'm dedicating the rest of my life to. How can I understand how being more aware can make me be more self-loving? And if I'm more aware and more self-loving, how can I teach others to be more aware and how to better self-love? You see, this was another aspect of the piece of my purpose that came to me when I got still. Because awareness is all that matters. I think about this every moment of every day. Every word we choose, and I'm going to pick one that's right there. How many people know that I have a son that's doing the soundboard? Most everyone here knows that Stephen is my son. I'm going to say to you that from now on, he's not my son. And you're looking at me saying, why would you say that? I says, because the second I say he's my son, I've limited him. I've put a capsule around him that says, this is all you are, and all you'll ever be is what I've experienced of you. And I'm saying, no, that's not who he is. He's a full expression of infinite. And he has the ability to create and be anything he wants. And I, as a person who brought him up, have no impact on that any longer. He is free. As of this moment, I've set him free. In my mind, and that's all that matters. That's awareness. I was on Facebook this morning, and I was listening to some people writing down messages about how they had watched Tony Robbins' new movie, I'm Not Your Guru, and I hear it's wonderful. I haven't had a chance to watch it. But they made mention about how expensive he is to go see, and how expensive it is to go see other of these great teachers. I remember people when John DeMartini would come here and he would offer his breakthrough experience for $1,000 for 24 hours, and I would hear people say about how expensive it is. And I would sit back this morning and I sort of said, that's fascinating. Why would they say that's expensive? Oh, I get it. It's because it's not a top value. Let me take that a step further and not even make it so it's not a top value. Let me take it as to a point of how we're living unconsciously. What is the number one coffee franchise in the world? Starbucks. Am I right? How many people here have Starbucks on a frequent basis? Raise your hands. There's a bunch. You buy a Starbucks a day, you're spending $5, right? Over a year, that's $1,825 on Starbucks. You could go do DeMartini's breakthrough twice. What's the value to that individual? Buying Starbucks, not self-improvement. I'm going to take it a step further. How many people go out to lunch? A lot of people go out to lunch. You go out to lunch in Dallas, you're going to spend a minimum of $10. The question I'm going to ask is, are you aware that you're spending $10 on that lunch? But if you're doing it twice a week, you're spending about $1,200 a year. Now, is that $1,200 a year being spent on something that you truly value? I don't know. I'm not judging. I'm just asking questions. Let's say we go out for wine. Glass of wine in any bar or restaurant is what, $9? Yeah, Becky, I'm talking about you. $10, and you know we never stop at one, so if we have 3, 4, there's $40. $40 a week's $2,000. What could you do with $2,000? A lot. I'm simply asking this because one of the things that came up is we talked when we were outside the jungles of Peru, and we talked about the food we eat. We talked about when you pick up a piece of food, do you realize that food is energy? Food is energy. How was that food created? How did it live? How did it die? Remember, the energy that happened to that being or that plant is what you are putting in your mouth that is blending with the energy that you are, and that has an impact. When I got that, I realized why they wanted me on this strict diet for 30 days. I want you to know that Saturday was day 11, which means I could add back into my diet frozen smoothies. I could add back in pineapple and avocado. Wow. I had an avocado Saturday morning, I just spread it on some dry toast, ciabatta roll, unbleached flour, no sugar added. Very clear about what was in the food. I put that avocado on there. And I paused. It was foreplay. And I bit into it, and juice just flowed. I looked at my wife, and I said, for now, this is better than sex. Because if you don't know, I have to be off sex for 30 days afterwards as well. The question, why? They put you on this special 30-day dieta, they call it, with all of these things not there because they want you to be aware of the energy that you're putting into your body so that you've already done a full physical, mental, and spiritual cleansing. Now that you've done the cleansing, what are you putting back into your body? You get to choose the energy, the people you're around. I'm very clear about who I allow in my energy as far as people. I'm very clear about what food I'm no longer going to allow in because I understand the impact it has on me. This is the temple of the divine. I'm not putting in anything that I can know is poison. I don't know what works for you, but I'm asking you to simply not do it as I do. I'm asking you to just become a little bit more aware. I'm asking you to think about before you say something, what is the intention of what you're saying? Is it to feed your growth? Is it to feed the infinite? Is it to show love for someone? Or is it to complain? Is it to whine? Is it to bitch? Is it to moan? Think about it. All that is energy, and whatever you put in, you also take in. You know, they talk about that we're like drops of the ocean. We're like a drop of God in the ocean. So that we're the ocean, God's the ocean, and we're a drop in it. No. We're a drop, and all the properties of the ocean or the properties of God or the properties of the infinite are in our drop. That's how we were created. Full, whole, perfect in this moment. The question is, what are you now allowing to come into that drop of water? See, you have the ability to create. We teach this week in and week out at Agape. We talk about there's an infinite power that created all things out of itself. We know that it's not a being. We do not anthropomorphize God. We understand to anthropomorphize God means to limit God. So we understand that there's this infinite power and presence, call it consciousness, call it energy. And what it has done is it has individualized itself as everything. And so you and I and everyone are a point of consciousness within the infinite consciousness. And as that point of consciousness, we get to create in this physical body our life experience through the overall thought pattern, the mental atmosphere which we create every day. So whatever we're thinking, whatever we're speaking, whatever we're doing, we're feeding that thought atmosphere. And what we feed that atmosphere is what it comes back and brings out into the universe. And that becomes what attracts to us in experience or repels from us in experience. It's really simple. When you go to all the great teachers that have ever walked the planet, they teach this very same thing. Here's what I understand, is that when I came back out of the jungle and I came back different, I will never be the same because of the level of awareness that I am. I realized that I couldn't go back to my old habits and remain the new Lee. I had to embrace new habits and new ways of being. I started that last week. Do you know what a minister of a small church does? Minister of a small church comes with everyone and sets up the room. As of last week, I no longer come and help and set up the room. You know what I did today? When my wife and son came and met Bob and Patty and Keith, and then the band sets up, and then we have the greeters come, and David Mazzola sets up all the name tags. I was home meditating an extra hour because I realized if I'm meditating an extra hour, then I'm shifting my consciousness so that I can be more fully present with you. See, that's a step in my awareness. I don't have to do the other things. I can let other people get the joy of being of service. See, service is a gift. If I'm doing it, I'm not letting others take that place. So you see, awareness is in everything. I want you to understand that because of the dieta that I'm on, this 30-day thing, I'm more aware of my 5 senses than I've ever been aware. My sense of taste is highlighted. My sense of smell is lifted. My sense of feeling. You know, the simple act now of holding my wife's hand is a joy. When I'm hugging, if I've hugged you today, I was fully present when I hugged you. I didn't just throw my arms around you. I was there realizing that the person I was hugging was an expression of God, and I was exchanging energy with that individual. You see, that's consciousness, that's awareness. There's an energy that we are. So when we go to something, how are we in that energy? Are we fully present in that energy? The thing that I've come to understand is talking about synchronicity. Nothing is synchronicity. We just become more aware. This week, I thought of 2 songs I wanted to play today. I wanted Nights in White Satin, I wanted The Summer of '69, and I never told anyone. Not a soul. What songs were played today. Because when you think something into infinite mind, and that's what there is, there's only one mind, there's infinite mind. Think about it, there is consciousness. In order for us to even communicate, there has to be a consciousness, right? That consciousness has to be shared. So if there's only one consciousness, and this is what quantum physics has determined, there is only consciousness, and from consciousness, everything is created. That means there is only one mind, and what is known in one part of one mind is known in all parts of one mind. So if you put something into one mind with belief and conviction, without doubt, it is known everywhere at the same time, and those who are receptive will pick that up, and they will receive it. It's really become clear to me that this idea that you see in a lot of centers, I'm going to send you energy. No, you can't send energy. You become love, and as you become love, in one mind, love is there, and those who are seeking to tap into that energy, they feel it right where they are. You can't send something to some place that doesn't exist. You see, we're all in one mind. We've got to get out of the illusion that we're separate. See, this outer body of us, that appears to have separation. But the soul, this aspect of us that is one with the divine, yes, it's individualized, but at the very basis in its infinite nature, it is part of the universal infinite. It's part of God, universal mind, total consciousness. So we're never not connected. We're always connected, but our shallowness of our focus has caused us to think that we're separate, and we think that we're victims, and we think of this, and we don't realize that there is a power working automatically all the time, giving us what we think, and if we change our thought atmosphere, we will attract more to us. We will attract different to us. So we don't have to look to the power outside of us. We look to the power within us. What did Jesus say? He said, it is the Father within. He was honoring, there was an infinite power and presence within him, and he saw through the illusion, and he knew the truth, and when he spoke from the truth, knowing nothing could be denied. If you speak from the truth, knowing and believing with everything you've got, nothing can be denied, you will have that. That's how miracles happen. They're not miracles, they're cause and effect. Everything in our universe is a result of cause and effect. So if everything around you is going awry, it's time to meditate. If your life is too busy, you haven't got enough time, it's time to meditate more. I notice that whenever I get overwhelmed, I stop and I meditate twice as much. And by doing that, the clarity comes to me, and then everything flows, and I'm done with everything that much quicker. It's when we get caught up in the doingness that we think we're alone, that we're not this higher power, that all of a sudden it becomes work. We start pushing against instead of going with the flow. You hear the analogy all the time. You're in a river in a canoe. Don't paddle upstream. Go with the flow. The flow, the natural order of life is shift your thinking. That's all you got to do. Don't fight against things. Shift your thinking and go in the direction of and set the direction of the river by your thought atmosphere. And the way you do that when things aren't going right is you pause, you meditate. Because in meditation, you cause everything to stop. Now you have a clear slate. Now in that clear slate, start planting new thoughts into the mind. And as you keep building the thoughts with emotion, with feelings, you see, thoughts are one thing, but thoughts integrated and aligned with your feelings, that's power. That's power. That's what people want. So men, start to feel. Women, start putting new thoughts with your feelings. Because women feel, trust me. They're feeling all the time. I listen to women feel. They tell me about it all the time. I feel this, I feel this. Okay, well, feel it in the direction of what you want. Men say, I'm focused on what I want, but you got no feeling. You got to put your feelings in it. And I'm speaking in generalities. I'm not speaking as if it's true. But you got to align it all. The key thing about awareness matters is that you have to become aware that what you're seeking has always been right where you are. What you are seeking is you. You are enough. You have everything you need. You are perfect. Let's pray. I want to thank you for joining us today. I am so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask you to go to our website. Once there, click on the Contribute button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to the world. I would also ask you to please share this message with anyone you feel might benefit. Again, I want to thank you for joining me and the Agape community as together we bring joy to life.